Hi, I'm Nathan Judd. I'm an addictions counselor, and I work with troubled teenagers, specifically male. And what I try to do is to use as much outdoors as possible. Right now, I'm on our campus where I work, and walking on a trail that I've been building with the guys. Just wanted to share a couple of thoughts with you. The other day, I was meeting with this client, very difficult client, and he's just one of those guys that seems to have all the answers, right? Thinks he does, at least. And you know, you're trying to impart some wisdom on him, and always got a reason why what he thinks is better. And that's a difficult thing, right? Inherently, when you're dealing with guys who are struggling with addictions, there's an element of brokenness. And really, in a lot of ways, aren't we all broken? But trying to help him see that, you know, he also is broken. We try to offer suggestions to help them, and a lot of times, man, especially teenage guys, right? They just think they got it all together, don't want to hear what we have to say, and man, it gets frustrating. And I ask myself, why? Why does he struggle to see that he's broken? Why does he think he has it all together? Why can't I get through to this kid? Why isn't he open to listening to anything? And that is just frustrating as a counselor sometimes. And really, when you know your heart is in the right place, wanting to help, wanting to encourage, wanting to lift somebody up, wanting to help them to see that there's a way out, there is help out there. When it comes to addictions, it inherently is a symptom of brokenness. Every single time somebody is truly struggling with an addiction, they are broken. Step one, if you're familiar with the 12 steps in working with addiction, it says, we have admitted to ourselves that we were powerless over our addictions and compulsive behaviors, that our lives have become unmanageable. And that is so hard to help somebody to say, I'm weak, I'm broken. That is just a difficult thing. But if we really think about it, isn't that hard for us all to look at ourselves and say, I'm weak, I can't do this without help, I'm broken? That is so hard. I mean, it's so easy to look at other people and say, man, it is so obvious that you're struggling, that you're broken, and look at this glaring area in your life, and we can see that in others. And we say, why can't they see that in themselves? And we start thinking about that. We are all so broken. And when we start looking at ourselves, I think it's a lot easier to realize why other people have trouble acknowledging their glaring brokenness that seems so obvious to us. But it's hard to look at ourselves and acknowledge that. And I think when we put ourselves in other people's shoes, we can better understand where they're coming from and better understand how to work with them, because they're broken and we're broken. And we don't like to acknowledge that we're broken, but we're all broken. I'm a believer in Christ, and one of the core tenets, and I think, man, so many people forget about this, and I think this is why a lot of times Christianity gets a bad name. But if we look at one of the most popular and well-known verses, Romans 3:23 says, for we have all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. I got a stupid example. I work with teenage guys, and they're a rough bunch of teenage guys sometimes. They all got good hearts, really. When you get down to it, we're all soft. They're soft too, but they like to show that they're hard. But they do what we call checking, and they talk about each other and make jokes. And if you can get the best foot down, then ooh, look at that. And so we had an outdoor adventure camp the other weekend, and that same weekend I was doing a singing event. And so anyway, you can see the hairline going here, but that weekend I had been growing out my hair for a while in order to shave it off and actually shave off all my facial hair to leave a mustache. I apologize if I offended anybody, but it was really a disgusting look on me. Um, but anyway, so I'd been working on that. Well, turned out that if I would have kept that look for both performances that weekend, I would have been around the guys that I work with that look of the, shaving all the hair off and keeping the mustache. And the Friday night, I looked in the mirror and said, I look disgusting. I look absolutely miserable. And I had to shave it all. I just had to go cold turkey and get rid of all of it and start over. Because I felt weird with it. And I said, that's not me. I was trying to interact with people and just be myself, and I felt creepy doing that. And so, the guys joke with each other anyway, and so I knew coming out to be with those guys on a Saturday that I was going to have to expose myself to the checking that was inevitable. And I wasn't okay with it. When they're joking with me about whatever it is, receding hairline or whatever, it doesn't bother me because ultimately I'm okay with it. It's not a big deal to me. So when somebody's joking with me and trying to do a check on me or put down or whatever you want to call it about something that I'm good with within myself, that's fine. I'm totally okay with that. But what I realized was I was not comfortable in my own skin with this look of a shaved top of the head and leaving this nasty looking mustache. I didn't like that look. And so I was already self-conscious about it, even though, I'd put myself in that. At the end of the day, I was trying to be funny with that look, but I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. And I knew that coming out here and being with those guys and exposing myself to that for that day, that they were going to say that. And because I wasn't comfortable in my own skin, that was going to be a very difficult thing for me to expose myself to. And I had this realization about the client that I've been working with, that that's what he's struggling with too. He has a way of carrying himself that he doesn't want to acknowledge any weakness, any fault. He's not open to correction. And why is that? It's because he's ultimately not comfortable in his own skin. He's got areas in his life that he's very closed off about and doesn't want to admit them to himself because he's not comfortable with them. And it was like me with my hair, is that if they're pointing that out to him, if somebody else pointing it out to him, he doesn't want to hear it anyway because he doesn't like that part of himself. And I think we all, again, are in that area of brokenness and discomfort within ourselves. And when we have to look inward and ask ourselves, what is the area that I struggle with? What is the area I don't want anybody to know? What's the area that I don't want to know anything about? That's ultimately where we're not comfortable with ourselves. And if we're not comfortable with ourselves, then we're not comfortable with other people knowing about something. Things coming to light. Things being told in the open. Sharing those things with others and being vulnerable. Because we're being vulnerable about an area of weakness. And that's what step one is. Looking within ourselves and admitting to ourselves, I need help. I don't have it all together. I want to have it together. I don't like this area of myself. But instead of ignoring it and trying to fight it, I'm going to embrace this. I'm going to bring this into the open, and I'm not going to be ashamed of being broken anymore. I'm going to be okay with who I am. I'm going to be okay with not being okay. In 2012, my daughter was born, and my wife had some complications, and that was a trying time for our family because those complications kept lingering, and we didn't know what was going on, and we needed help. And at that time in my life, I wasn't comfortable with needing help. I wanted to take care of my family and be the one to provide, and I was the man of the house. I wanted to be able to do that. And so I did what I could. I stayed home, of course, being a good, new, first-time dad. But the complications kept going on, and the time off ran away. I was out of time off. And my wife still needed somebody at home. Well, we tried to handle that on our own and not tell people, because I had it together. I can do this. God will make a way. And sometimes that way is getting help. See, we tried to keep that secret, and somehow some little old ladies from church found out that we needed help. And they, being retired and being sweet old ladies, did what they love to do. And they just said, let us come sit with you. My wife wasn't allowed to lift our 5-pound baby, because of the complications. What are we supposed to do? They said, we'll come sit with you. We'll lift your 5-pound baby. Who doesn't want to lift a 5-pound baby? A newborn, right? Especially little old ladies. They love to do that. This doesn't even work for them. And, after about a week of this going on, I was looking around and saying, my goodness, why in the world did I not ask for help? Why was I so, arrogant or so blind? Why was I so scared to just tell people I need help? We're so afraid of reaching out to others and saying I'm weak. But ultimately, being able to acknowledge that I'm weak is a sign of strength. And I think every single time somebody honestly admits, not just going through the motions, but honestly acknowledges, I am struggling, every single time they say, why didn't I do this sooner? Timothy Ferriss in the 4-Hour Workweek says he believes that success can be measured in the amount of difficult conversations that people are willing to have with others. And I think that's true. So I'm going to give you a challenge. And this is ultimately where I need to work on myself, and where I'm putting myself in the shoes of my clients. And I think me doing that is going to help me to work with them better. But I'm asking myself, what conversation is it that you're putting off? And what is it that you're afraid of yourself? What is it that that's in your life that you're struggling with, that you're afraid that people find out? Where are you weak? Where are you broken? What conversation do you need to have? And I want to ask you, what is holding you back from having that conversation? What is you holding back from bringing that brokenness into the open? Fear? Is that it? Fear never hurt anybody. I guarantee you, if you go ahead and confront that situation, it's going to be a measure of success. And you're going to look at yourself and you're going to say, why didn't I do this sooner? What kept me from going ahead and reaching out? I should have done this years ago. So I encourage you, my challenge to you is to go ahead and hit it head on. Don't live in fear. Don't live in denial of brokenness, because you're going to encourage other people if you open up to others and reach out to others. That is such an attractive quality, to acknowledge brokenness. Do you know somebody who is completely authentic about that and says, I don't have it all together? And you say, man, I wish I could be like them. Well, you can. Do it today. Ask yourself what conversation you need to have. Take care of it today and move on. And you're going to be asking yourself why you didn't do it earlier. Thank you very much. I'm hoping to have more videos coming up. I'm just getting this started. And anyway, let me know what you think, and hopefully you'll be hearing from me in the future.